Hi there everyone, welcome to my review of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford is back as the Nazi-punching, globe-trotting, relic-retrieving, world-famous archaeologist Indiana Jones in his fifth and likely last outing as the character. I'm a big Indiana Jones fan. I have been ever since I was a kid. The original trilogy is probably one of my favorite movie trilogies of all time. I can't tell you how many times I've rewatched those movies. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were an amazing creative team. Their fondness for 1930s black and white adventure serials was used as a template for creating one of the most iconic motion picture movie characters of all time. Harrison Ford is one of my favorite actors, and Indiana Jones is the reason why. So after the third movie in the original trilogy, The Last Crusade, they didn't make Indiana Jones movies for a long time. Well, now we get The Dial of Destiny. I'm kidding. They made Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 2008, which was probably my most disappointing movie of the entire year. A movie I've only seen twice, first time in the theater, and then the second time years later when I tried to convince myself that, hey, it really wasn't that bad. But yeah, it still is. Now we have Indiana Jones 5, and the big questions are, does this movie give Indy the send-off he deserves? Does this movie cap off this mega blockbuster franchise with a satisfying conclusion? No, it doesn't. I was really disappointed with this movie, just like I was disappointed with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, only I disliked that movie for different reasons. Particularly its goofy plot elements and the overall ugly look of the film. But that's a discussion for another video. Now, before I really get into the details of my overall thoughts on the movie, I want to start by saying that I always try to keep an open mind when I go into a movie. I somewhat liked the trailers for this movie, so my expectations weren't low. I wasn't expecting this movie to be as great as the original trilogy because those movies set the bar so high. I wasn't expecting this movie to achieve that kind of level. All I wanted was a kick-ass, satisfying adventure and get one last chance to say goodbye to one of my movie heroes that I've admired since I was a kid. Now, to be fair, I do have some positive things to say about the movie. I think James Mangold is a good director. I think he did the best he could with the script that he was given. Logan and Ford v Ferrari are really good movies, and I think that James Mangold, he knows how to direct action pretty well. I also think that the visuals in this movie are pretty good. They're a lot better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. There's also an underwater sequence which takes place about halfway through the movie, which I thought looked really impressive. There's also a part of the film which takes place towards the end of World War II. Some of those de-aging effects that were used during that part of the movie looked phenomenal. Which brings me to the plot of the movie. Indiana Jones and his assistant Basil are in pursuit of a mysterious relic known as the Dial of Destiny, also referred to in the movie as the Antikythera device, something I had some familiarity with since I watch Ancient Aliens. But anyway, they try to retrieve the relic before the Nazis do. That's when we're introduced to the main villain of the movie, Voller, played by Mads Mikkelsen. He actually knocks it out of the park in this role. I thought he was very sinister and menacing. He was actually a better villain than Spalko was in Crystal Skull. But unfortunately, that's pretty much where my positives end for the movie. So after an extended chase sequence to retrieve the dial, the movie flash forwards to the late 1960s. We find Indy is retiring as professor of archaeology and his personal life is in tatters, and he really doesn't have any prospects in front of him. Then we're introduced to Indy's goddaughter, Helena, the daughter of Indy's former assistant, Basil. Turns out that Indy has part of the dial, and he and Helena set off on a quest to complete the rest of the dial and unlock its mysterious power. But Indy and Helena try to evade capture when it turns out that there are some ex-Nazis who are in pursuit of the same goal and try to use the dial for their own nefarious purposes. That brings me to one of my first negatives of the movie. This plot is very messy and confusing. We're introduced to new characters and we're not really sure where their allegiances are, if they're working as a secret agent for Voller to retrieve the dial, or if they're working in their own CIA capacity and they think that they're employing Voller to retrieve the dial. There are also individuals who seem to be controlling this whole operation to find the dial, but they end up dying so quickly that you never find out anyway, or getting shot or crushed by a bookcase. So it's really kind of pointless. That also brings me to Antonio Banderas. He's in the movie too, but his character is actually a complete waste. It's also not clear where Indy and Helena are traveling half the time because the movie is moving at such a fast pace. And also, for example, Indy tries to mislead some of the bad guys by making them think that he's going to be heading east or something when he's actually heading west. And in typical Indiana Jones fashion, we get an overlay of a world map with a plane flying across it. The only problem is that one of the bad guys' faces is blown up so big on the screen and it's so distracting that you can't actually tell where Indy and his companions are going. I'll try to do this in my best German impression for you.
Wait, they are not headed east, they are headed west.
I hope you enjoyed that. Then there's a scene where Indy and Helena are looking for Archimedes' tomb, and the way they find it is completely stupid. I'm not really going to get into any spoilers, so don't worry about that. Just trust me that it's dumb. But it gets worse, because the movie is completely derailed by the character of Helena, Indy's goddaughter, who is absolutely insufferable throughout the entire movie. She talks over him, she argues with him, she even leaves him to die a few times, but I guess she also tries to save him too, so you don't really know where her morals lie, so you never end up trusting her character. It's aggravating. And she kind of reminded me of the character of Mac from Crystal Skull. First he turned out to be an ally, then a double agent, then a double agent. Again, it was messy, but it was also aggravating because her character was so unlikable. Then we get towards the end of the movie where we find out what the ultimate plan for the dial was, but that part of the movie ended up being somewhat anticlimactic and unsatisfying. It kind of made me wonder what the whole point of the movie was to begin with. But the really sad part about this is that Indy never really gets the chance to kick ass in the movie at all. One of the worst things that they did in the movie was where Indy and Helena actually are in a cave and these big bugs start crawling all around them. And Indy is actually afraid of these bugs. And when that happened, I ended up checking out of the movie. They changed Indy's character for a quick laugh, and actually that kind of pissed me off. I mean, look, even in Crystal Skull, Indy invented two-fisted punching, and it had somewhat of a good ending with Indy and Marion getting married. The end of this movie is just terrible. They do something that reminds you of a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark to make you think of a great movie, to try and trick you into thinking that what you're watching is a good movie, but it isn't. I'm going to give Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny a 4 out of 10. Although I had some positives to say about the movie, overall I think that this movie was a failure. This is about an old, tired, grumpy Indiana Jones who goes on an adventure that didn't need to be told in a movie that didn't need to be made. But hey, there may be some of you who actually like this movie, and that's totally fine. If you disagree with me at all and you want to leave a comment, be sure to leave one down below. But anyway, thank you so much for checking out my movie review. I really appreciate it. Be sure to give the video a quick like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.